When did it start? How did it start?
Well, how it started is a longer story than when it started. It started in 2009, actually, online. I just kind of got sick of people not bringing the whole scene together, and it's really not just a Houston-based magazine. It's just it's Texas. So I'm bringing the whole of Texas together, whether it's death metal, black metal, rock and roll, cover bands, just any talent that's in Texas that's related to harder genres of music. I felt like needed a voice to kind of sing their praises and stuff like that. Nobody else was doing it, and so that was in 2009. Before that, I was working with another magazine called Explicitly Intense, which was actually a national magazine, and I worked with them for about 5 years. And it got to a point where it was all corporate, like anything any big business is. So I was bringing these great bands to them, not necessarily Texas bands, but some just obscure bands that still had some pretty good backing. And my editor wasn't really listening to me, I guess, and no, you need to go do this band because they advertise with us. And I was like, that's bullshit, so I don't want to do that. So I kind of told him, holler at you, and it was a big transition point in my life too, where I was getting my degree in English and things like that. So I kind of left it alone for a couple of years, kind of got out of the scene. I still went to shows and stuff like that, but I wasn't doing interviews and stuff, and I really, really, really got into the local scene in those 2 years. I've always been a big supporter of the local scene, but not as much as I was beginning from, that was about 2007, up to the point where Lone Star Metal actually started. And I worked with Rob's Metalworks in between that time, between the 2007, 2009. So he really got me into the interview process and really getting into supporting and going to local shows and things like that. So, that's really how it got started.
And Lone Star Metal.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you come up with that name?
We're in Texas. It's the Lone Star State, so.
And you weren't interested in covering just Houston, like you said. You've been bringing in bands from everywhere.
Right.
And you seem to take bands and congeal them all into one lump mass of just rock covered in paper. No, I'm kidding. No, you.
Well, really, the first show I ever did was kind of like tonight. It was a birthday show for Crystal. Crystal, my wife, had turned
Who is awesome, by the way.
Our
Good
PR
job.
guru. She's the PR god. I may be the show guy, but she's the PR guy. And if it wasn't for her, all this shit would fall apart within the first month. But anyway, she was turning 30, the big 3-0, so I was throwing her a show, and I put, Azrael's Bane, which is a big, huge Houston band. I brought one of 6 in from San Antonio, and basically it was like just a co-headline show, just to celebrate Crystal turning 30.
And that got the bug set for you, huh?
And that was, it was fun to put the show on. It was a lot of pressure. And
do you act well under pressure?
Yeah. I don't show it. It doesn't show. Inside, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? But outside, it's like, okay, we need to do this, 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 and this, and just kind of get the job done, and later I'll drink a lot of beer and pass out.
So where on the road did Wellborn Road become? And began to market them. So where did that fit into all of this?
That's actually the newest chapter in the whole Lone Star story.
I'm ADD. I like to skip around.
I know.
We'll play hopscotch later. It'll be fun.
Hopscotch. I always fall on my face. I'm out of here. No, I'm kidding. Well, Wellborn Road, I saw those guys for the first time in, must have been 2009, right along the same time. Yeah, right along the same time that Lone Star was really picking up, and I had no intentions back then of even managing a band or even putting shows together, on a regular basis. I just liked their sound, and they were from College Station, and I live in College Station now, so it was kind of a cool thing. And they're actually
of convenience.
Yeah, well, that and I really didn't do much with them up until last year, as far as being an active part of their shows and pretty much just being their manager. So. But anyway, back then, I dug it. I saw him at Gary's spot, which was in Tomball, and
okay, focus.
But I love their sound, and just the whole vibe of the band. But I did an interview with them. I was like, that was the drunkest interview I've ever done outside of Gary's spot. Just sitting there on the sidewalk interviewing the band. To this day, I still don't remember that interview at all. I've got it on a recorder, but I don't remember doing it and all that. So, and that was the same with my first Snakeskin Prison interview too, but that's a whole other story. So I did that. I did the CD review, stuff like that. And then I just kind of saw them in between like the 2 years from then till last year. just kind of saw them at different shows and whatnot, and they actually
They were
approached.
worth it, huh?
Well, they actually approached me and said, you've got all these connections, and you're like the
that
Texas,
guy.
you're the Texas dude, and we need somebody to give us a kick in the ass and get us organized, because they admitted to me that they were unorganized and they needed somebody to put it together. So I thought about it for about a week and a half. And,
It took that long?
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to get into the management hat, because I'd already been wearing so many hats at that point anyway. I was doing the show promotions, and I had a magazine, and then I'm dad. But I figured, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And maybe they'll get famous, and I'll get rich, and I can quit doing all this other menial stuff.
How's that getting famous and rich thing going for you?
Yeah, it's awesome, I
saw you roll up in the Bentley earlier. Nice.
Yeah, well, the famous part's there, but the rich part doesn't really fall in suit like they say in the storybooks, So, anyway.
Yeah, kind of figured that out in the music scene a little too late.
Right. Yeah. Funny story though, because of that, I went to the Hole yesterday to see Winter's Inn, and Crystal got up stage and sang with them. And
I just heard that story. I heard she did really good.
She kicked ass. It was the second time she's done it.
You gotta tag the pictures to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely. Well, Derek's got the
I
first
video the first time.
She's got the debut, or he's got the debut video of her on stage. But I walked into the Hole last night, walked up to the bar to get me a drink, and there's these two older gentlemen.
To clarify, the Hole, you mean the 19th Hole?
Yeah, the 19th Hole.
Sawdust.
Yeah, on Sawdust, Rayford Sawdust in the Woodlands.
Go ahead and give them some props there.
Love it. Anyway, so but yeah, I walk up to the bar, and these two dudes at the end are like, "Hey man, what's up, Rusty? Come over here." And I was like, at first it was like, okay, who are these dudes? I mean, I think I know why they know me, but I started talking to them, and it turned out to be the Hollister Practice guys.
Oh, cool, good band.
It because they grayed a little bit, since the last time I'd seen them. So it took me a minute, but it caught on. But it was really cool and surreal at the same time that I'm starting to get this recognition now, where it was just, I used to just be the dude up front rocking out to all these bands, and now I'm actually part of this whole community, and it's really cool, really neat, And I don't want to get into my Jason McMaster stories yet.
Oh, yes you do. The hell you don't. That was the real reason we pulled you out here. I just haven't gotten you drunk enough yet.
We got to get one in the
right.
room.
So.
I know, right?
Now, to my understanding, they don't come out unless there's a big old bus, a lot of partying, a lot of good times to be had.
They mean Broken Teeth.
Yeah. How did you originally meet up with these guys?
Actually, it was just kind of hanging around the Austin scene for a little bit. Seeing Broken Teeth play at the Red Eyed Fly and stuff like that, and just got to know Jason through that, and then I started booking shows in Austin and doing that type of thing. And the first show I did in Austin was supposed to be Broken Teeth. It was supposed to be them with Welburn Road, Dead Earth Politics. Broken Teeth had to cancel because Jared was going to California for a Grammy. I couldn't be pissed off because the dude's nominated for a Grammy. So
doesn't know who the fuck you are.
I know, right? Well, it's okay. It's okay. But anyway, I ended up putting Jason's new thrash band, Evil United, in there, and it was a cool deal. And just out of that one show, it just kind of sparked into a working relationship between Jason and I. And through that working relationship, now we've actually gotten to be really good friends, which is like a big, oh my God, schoolgirl moment, because this was the dude from Dangerous Toys, and that was like one of my big bands back in the day.
I got a text from Jason.
Right, for the first month and a half, every time I get a text or phone call or email from him, I have to call Crystal and they're like, hey, just get over it. There's just a slew of bands that come out almost every week, that need attention. It's just, I could sit here all night and the show would be over if
What do you feel about the fishbowl that is Houston? I personally have opinions about Houston being a fishbowl that it's very hard for bands to get out of. And I feel that your magazine and what it helps a lot of bands around here do is break out of the mold that is Houston. Houston tends to not let bands go. Yeah. You get into playing the circuit here, which is, Fitz, 19th Hole, BFE, Scout. You start playing, the little roundabout, and you're not able to get out of it.
Yeah.
And you get stuck in that little fishbowl, sloshing around, and you don't get out of Houston. And one of the things that your magazine does that a lot of other magazines, I feel our station does this, and I respect you so much for what you do, is the same thing that we do, is being able to break bands out of that mold, get them played in Austin, getting them played in other cities, getting other bands from other cities to play with them and creating a new united front with them that's
Right.
global local, pretty much promoting all local bands from everywhere to promote the local scene and to get the local scene out there, heard, understood in a way that people always want national bands, national acts, and things of the name. You promote the global local scene, which
Right.
is promote and support your local scene. That's amazing. How do you feel about the egos in Houston, the fishbowl of Houston, and the fact that a lot of bands are stuck here and happy with not getting out of Houston and going up the little social ladder that is Houston,
Right.
and what you're doing with bands as far as breaking the glass that is that fishbowl?
I think with Houston especially, and it might be the same in Dallas too, is the sheer size, I think, contributes a little bit to the whole fishbowl effect. Because you could play here on a Friday night and then go play the Scout Bar down in Beaumont, or not Beaumont, but in Clear Lake, on Saturday and have completely different fans, So I think just the sheer immense size of the town is one of the, it's awesome, but at the same time it's detrimental because a lot of bands feel they don't have to leave Houston, and quite frankly, I think a lot of bands are scared to leave Houston. You build this following in your own town, and then if you go out of town, you got to do that all over again, and it takes a lot more effort, and it costs a lot more to drive out of town and build that fan base there than I just got to drive down the road, or I just got to drive downtown.
But you haven't been afraid to take bands across that journey.
Right.
You've had the confidence and security to do that.
I'll take the bands that want to take that journey. That's the thing. You got to find the bands that are willing to put their foot out there and put their ass out there, and maybe lose a little bit in the beginning, but in the long run, if you keep at it, it's going to pay off. But you got to make that effort to get out there, or you never know.
So what is the best advice that you personally can give to bands right now that are starting out, that are watching this video, that are thinking, I can do this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be in a band. I've got my friends together. I can play the bass. I can play the guitar. I can do this. This is what I'm going to do with my life.
Yeah.
What advice, after all of your years of doing this, do you give to those bands?
You got to start local. Build that fan base of people that are going to like you and that are going to follow you, that might follow you out of town eventually. But you got to start where you live. That's the logical step. If you're just now starting out, then there's no other way to do it. Play anywhere and everywhere. Play for free if you have to. You're not going to get paid a whole lot of money anyway doing this thing, so you may as well get used to not being paid. And the reality is sometimes that happens. You play a show, you don't get paid. But if there's 50 people there, if there's 25 people there that enjoyed what you do, then they're going to come back and they're going to bring a friend with them. They're going to go back home and say, man, I saw this band last night, it was kick ass. Next time they play, we need to go. And that's how you build your following. And then once you get that set thing going in your town, don't be afraid to venture out. You've got to do some show swaps with people. Get on the internet. It's instantaneous now to know what band is good in Austin. Don't be afraid to get your ass out there, and don't be afraid to play to 5 people or 500. That's my philosophy. I tell Welborn Road all the time. It's 5 or 500, doesn't matter. You just put 100% out. I've seen shows on national labels where 2 people showed up and it was me and Crystal. But those guys still played. And if you have the attitude where I'm not gonna play very well because there's only 15 people out there, those 15 people are gonna tell 15 more people that this band had an attitude and they sucked. Get out there and promote yourself.
Do the damn deal.
Exactly. That's how I treated Lone Star Mill like it was my band. Went out there and hit every show. Don't just go to shows that you play at. Go to other people's shows.
Support
make
your
that
scene.
appearance.
Make
exactly,
friends.
Exactly. And stay till the last motherfucking band. Pisses me off more than anything. All these little scene kids, that go to see the one band that they know, and they don't stick around to see the rest of the bands. There could be the best band that you've ever heard in your life that went on right after your friend's band, but you went home because your friends are done. You never know what's out there.
I always tell everyone, pay your cover, buy a CD, buy a shirt, support,
Exactly.
tip your band.
Yeah.
You want to meet the guys in the band? Tip them.
Yep.
They will get down and come tell you thank you and come talk to you.
And the merch is where it's at too. That's where
Yeah.
they make their money. They don't make their money off the door.
Hell no.
That's
Buy
just,
a t-shirt and then wear it around. Somebody will see your shirt and go, I know those guys.
Exactly.
Start a conversation.
thinking of buying T-shirts.
You know? Well, I'll tell you what. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As always, great talking to you. And let's go and get one of those friends. All right.
You're a good dude. Anyone who knows this guy hadn't heard any shit yet. Smoke. What other smoke? What other smoke? What other smoke can I blow up your culo? He's better looking.